Part 2. The refining power of suffering. Jacob's consequence and refining process. Why do we have to go through delays, struggles, and pruning if we are blessed? In Part 1, we saw how Esau impulsively traded his birthright for a bowl of stew and suffered the consequence. But what about Jacob, the one who deceived and gained the blessing? Later in the Bible, Jacob himself experienced the pain of being deceived as well. He worked for 7 years to marry Rachel, the woman he loved. But on the wedding night, Laban, his father-in-law, tricked him into marrying her sister Leah first. Jacob had to work another 7 years to marry Rachel. And in total, he ended up serving Laban for 20 years. 20 years of delay, frustration, labor, waiting, and hardship. Jacob may have received the blessing, but he spent years stuck in a situation that kept him from moving forward. Those 20 years looked like wasted time, but they weren't just consequences. It became his refining process. God was shaping Jacob to prepare him for the promise. What God refined in Jacob? Jacob had to learn patience over impulse. God was teaching him delayed gratification. He worked and waited, and even after being tricked, he endured another 7 years. God was teaching him humility through service. He was the blessed son, but became a hired hand. Jacob learned to serve before he could lead. Have you noticed that people who were born in comfort don't have the same flexibility or resilience? But those who start from scratch, who build something from the ground up, are the ones with wisdom, grit, and emotional intelligence. When they finally rise to the top, they know how to manage, lead, and treat people well because they've been through the grind themselves. On the flip side, people who get money quickly through get-rich-quick schemes often lose it just as quickly because they received blessing without the training to manage it. By humbling him and making him serve, he was preparing Jacob to carry the blessing with resilience, wisdom, and humility. Jacob had to learn dependence on God, not manipulation. Jacob's whole life was about scheming. He deceived his brother Esau for his birthright. He tricked his father Isaac for the blessing. Jacob always thought he had to cheat or hustle his way into God's promise. But in Laban's house, God flipped the script. When the flocks multiplied, it wasn't because of Jacob's tricks, but by God's hand. This was God teaching Jacob, you don't have to manipulate anymore. You don't need to deceive, cheat, or force things to happen. My hand will do it for you. I will prosper you with integrity. I will bless you without scheming. God was forming a new man, one who walked in honesty and dependence instead of living by manipulation. God was shaping integrity under an unjust boss. Laban changed his wages 10 times, but Jacob stayed faithful in his work. Integrity became his defense. God gave him discernment and boundaries. Eventually, Jacob knew when it was time to leave Laban and return to the land God has promised. So guys, know when to stay and when to resign and move forward. Sometimes God is teaching you in the season you're in, but He also wants you to recognize when it's time to move on. God taught Jacob stewardship and skill. Jacob worked hard, cared for flocks, and God prospered him. Not through shortcuts, but through faithfulness. Jacob learned prayerful dependence and surrender. In his fear, he cried out, I am unworthy, deliver me. His first reflex became prayer, not plotting like how he used to. Jacob learned remembering and worship, aka giving God the credit, thanking Him for everything he accomplished. Jacob grew in reconciliation and peacemaking. He humbled himself, offered gifts to Esau, and sought peace instead of clinging to pride. The good news is God still works like that. God uses our bad breaks, even the painful consequences of our choices, to refine us. He can turn what feels like wasted time into training time. So don't stay stuck blaming yourself, carrying a chip on your shoulder. Repent, trust God, and keep walking. Because with Him, even your consequences can become your classroom. He makes all things, even your mistakes, work together for your good. Whether you're like Esau making quick decisions, or like Jacob enduring years of waiting, the lesson is the same. Trust God, discern wisely, and embrace the refining process. Till next time, God bless.